This is the weekly review for the week of December 19th to December 23rd, as well as this week's Sunday preparation. So, coming into the week, I was anticipating a bearish week, and I wanted price to trade up into this daily fair value gap and then continue trading lower because we had this um, daily buy side raid and then displacement down, breaking market structure. So that's why on Monday I was looking for longs. So Monday's price action. I didn't really see anything prior to the 9:30 open. Um, I just noted how some sell side had been taken and we had these equal highs up here. Um, so right at the 9:30 open, right here, I noticed how we had some displacement down and we created this fair value gap, but there was no raid or SMT or anything, so I didn't really pay attention to it. I just noted it to see what price would do. Um, and after waiting a little bit, we had this bullish displacement up with a failure swing on previous week's low. So that got me bullish. And the only thing that I didn't like about the setup was the break in market structure. Um, we didn't have an M5 break in market structure because this is not an M5 swing high because these are just equal highs. So it was only M4 and below that had the break in market structure. I really wanted to see a break in market structure of this high here because I felt that this high was more significant. But nonetheless, I set a buy limit here and I got stopped out. And we ended up coming down and breaking market structure here. So at this point, after I took that loss at 11:05, it was pretty clear that this move up was a Judas. So I flipped my bias and I saw we had this bearish setup forming here um, from this M5 range. So I set a limit at the mean threshold and I was targeting previous week's low. That was my drawn liquidity because that was the nearest liquidity after seeing that this was a Judas. And I got swerved by like a point or less than a point here. And it went straight to TP. Um, then after taking previous week's low, I was just watching to see if there's any bullish displacement, but we ended up just consolidating and then breaking down. So um, I knew that this wasn't bullish at all, but there was no um, retracement into premium for a short entry in the PM session. And then I just noted we had a small um, bearish SMT here with the lunch highs, but there was no setup here to enter in on to continue lower. I believe on US 30 we did get the entry here, so US 30 retraced deep into its premium. So this was just an unfortunate, swerve here, but this was a pretty clean setup that formed. Um, so yeah. So then coming into Tuesday, I noted how we had bullish displacement up away from the 12 a.m. price and how we took previous week's low on Monday. So basically, Monday night, I was kind of reassessing my bias because we traded pretty heavily away or down from the weekly opening price instead of up. So obviously, if we're going to have a bearish week, price is usually going to trade up from the weekly opening price to make the high of the week, but we traded pretty significantly down. So I was already kind of thinking about that my bias could have been wrong. And we had this bullish displacement up on Tuesday with this fair value gap here. And when I got on the charts, I saw this SMT with Asia high and this short setup that we formed, fair value gap here in premium, and we broke market structure here. Now, even though I was in the process of reassessing my bearish bias, I was looking at this short because regardless if the bias was bullish or bearish, I felt that price would have a high probability to come down into this fair value gap because if we're going to be bullish, it's going to retrace down in here into this low resistance liquidity run and also discount of the bullish range and then continue up. But if we're bearish, it would still retrace down here, but just continue nuking down. So I felt that this was the overall draw on liquidity. Now, the setup did end up playing out, but I didn't take it. I don't know. I just, for whatever reason, I didn't end up executing. I just watched this live. You know, I placed the entry or stop loss thing here, just this, whatever it's called, long or short position indicator, and I just watched it, and it went to TP. Oh, and the other thing is that I noted this bullish, small bullish setup here. But the thing was, this fair value gap wasn't in discount, and there was no fair value gap in discount, so this wouldn't have been a clean bullish setup here. I think when I saw this live, I was just placing too much emphasis on it. But we ended up coming down at the 9:30 open and hitting TP, and then I saw that we formed another setup, but this one wasn't as clean. We had this, short-term or low time frame SMT displacement, but wasn't a really clear break in market structure of the swing low. Where here we had a big move down, not so much here, but again, the other thing was that we're already in discount of the bullish range, and we already filled in most of this low resistance liquidity run. So I feel that I got into this trade just because I missed this one, and I was like kind of angry. So I took a loss here. But this trade I should definitely have never entered in on because we already hit the draw on liquidity. Whereas the Monday loss, I'm more okay with because it was in line with the bias, and there was no way you could have known really besides that break in market structure there, because this wasn't the cleanest break in market structure. So after I took that loss, then I realized that we were actually bullish because we had huge displacement away from the area that I was looking at. So I set limits here in discount, and we never retraced back down into here. So then I just ended up pulling the limits from this setup. But we did eventually come back down to discount and had a long setup here, and this was a SMT with London low. So I should have kept my limits on, or at least moved them up here, because this was a clear valid setup. But probably mentally I wasn't the best, since I just missed this trade and I already lost this trade here. So that's probably why I didn't set limits here, or didn't really have much focus to get in on these trades. And then we had institutional order flow entry drill in lunch session before taking the AM highs here with SMT, and then pretty much just consolidating the rest of the day. So two very clean trades, this one and this one, super clean in terms of the bias and drawn liquidity. That was pretty clear. So then coming into Wednesday, I was pretty confident on the bias that it was going to be bullish, because at this point we had pretty significant displacement away from, so this was Wednesday, New York. and we're having a significant bullish displacement away from this daily order block. And also on the M15, it looked like we were in a market maker buy model. With these equal highs here being the original consolidation. So that's the smart money reversal, and then traded up. We're respecting bullish PD arrays. So New York session on Monday, I was looking for these equal highs to be taken. That was my drawn liquidity. And we had a very clean setup on Wednesday, where we had another failure swing with London low. Clean break in market structure, and M15 fair value gap in here in discount with this order block, with this breaker. So with the market maker buy model context. So this was super clear. So yeah, I ended up getting a winning trade here, and it did end up hitting my drawn liquidity at Monday's high, and those equal highs are original consolidation of the market maker buy model. So on Wednesday at this point, I was seeing that my overall bias was correct, that I wanted price to come back up into this daily fair value gap, but instead of Monday immediately trading up into it, we needed to trade down into this daily order block and take previous week's low first. Here's previous week's low. We need to take that liquidity, dig down deeper in the order block, into the order block before trading higher to reach this daily fair value gap. So on Thursday, okay, and then just the rest of Wednesday, we retraced into this M5 range, but this was during lunch anyway. And then I noted this small lunch setup here. We had a lunch low SMT and broke market structure up, but we didn't have a SMT with these highs. So I was just looking at a long. I didn't take this. I just marked it out as like a paper trade with the long module here. And it just hit TP before reversing and just continuing consolidation for the rest of the PM session. So really this was the only clean trade of the day. But as I was saying, because I saw that, we needed to dip down into the daily order block first to come up into this daily fair value gap. On Thursday, I was continuing to look for longs. We did reach this daily fair value gap here. This one right here, but this larger one is the one that I was paying attention to. And Thursday ended up having a complete reversal of events, which was fine because there was no bullish setup that formed anyway. We were extremely bearish, and US 30 ended up reaching up into that daily fair value gap. Where is it? Yeah, right here. So we had a SMT with S&P here. But of course, we didn't know that at the time. I was just watching this on Thursday, SMT with Asia high, and I also noted that we barely had any of a Judas swing here, and we were just very heavy from the opening price. So I was kind of already coming into New York at slightly before 8 a.m. I was already thinking that something was up, that this didn't look bullish, and I was just watching this fair value gap and order block from yesterday, and also these were in discount of the Wednesday's range. So I was seeing if there was going to be any bullish reaction off of this, and then we had news at 8:30, and that just gave the confirmation. We just melted through these like butter. So there was no way that we're going to be bullish. And also, we didn't even have a Judas swing above the 8:30 price. So when it came to the 9:30 open, I knew that this was going to be a extremely bearish day, and we're probably not going to get any entries, and there was going to be no retracements into premium, which is exactly what happened. Um, there was absolutely nothing on the M15. The only thing I noted was that on the 2 minute, there was a retracement into some fair value gaps, but it wasn't in premium at all. Um, just barely dipping into the fair value gap, and again here. And I'm just noting that because that's also in line with what ICT said in one of the YouTube mentorships. When you anticipate price to be extremely bearish on the day, like here, with no Judas swing or barely any Judas swing above 12 a.m. and 8:30, price isn't going to give you any retracements into premium. And he said to like enter in on any fair value gap possible. So that's why I just noted these two, but I'm still not confident to enter in on those type of entries yet, since they aren't in premium for a short. And then we had nice PA here in the PM session where we took Tuesday low, so we formed the low of the week on Thursday with a SMT. So I was looking for a power 3 setup here, and that, or a daily power 3 setup, and that the logic played out, but there was no entry here. After this nice break in market structure, yeah, we came back down into discount, but there was no fair value gap to enter on here. That was clearly in discount. You know, this little portion was, but I didn't end up entering in on it. I just noted it on the chart. And then we came back down into the order block, but we just swerved discount here, and there was no fair value gap in discount on this move, or this retracement, I should say. And then we did get another entry here, but this was quite late, already at 3:40, so like 20 minutes till the close of the PM session. And it came back down into this fair value gap and order block here. So yeah, the logic definitely played out, and that was nice to see, but I didn't get any entries on that. And then Friday came. Friday was pretty much the start of the holiday weekend for Christmas, and we also had this big range on Thursday, so both of those factors combined should have us anticipating that Friday is going to be a range day, and that's exactly what ended up playing out. And right at the 8:30 news event, the fact that we took sell side and buy side so quickly, I kind of knew that this was going to be a seek and destroy type of day, and I didn't end up paying much attention to the charts, but I noted these two setups here and how we were in the middle of a bullish and a bearish setup where we took buy side here. There was no SMT, displacement down, and we had this fair value gap here in premium. But then at the same time, we took buy or sell side here. We did have a low time frame SMT here and displacement up. So we have displacement in both directions, and we're in the middle of two setups. So I didn't really, because of that, I didn't really end up paying too much attention. But looking back, I can see how there was some more or slightly more confidence to get the or buy the long setup here, because the buy side or the sell side was the most recent liquidity taken, and we already violated this setup here prior to the RTO, and we also broke the opening range high here. And TP just got hit at 3 p.m. So it wasn't a bad trade, but I still noted it in my journal. So yeah. For next week, I'm not really anticipating much for next week because in terms of news, it's still a holiday week. It's the week between Christmas and New Year's, so there's literally no news. And I'm pretty sure most people are on holiday. And also on the weekly chart, we have this indecisive candle. So I don't really have any bias for next week, to be honest with you. I just noted previous week's high and previous week's low, but I don't really think that we're going to get much this upcoming week. The only thing I did note is that looking a little bit longer term, we could potentially be seeing a quarterly shift here because it's been 40 trading days since the last quarterly shift back here in October, and we now have this buy side raid and nice displacement down with this fair value gap here. So I'm thinking that this could potentially be the high, and we're going to come into a sell program now. So that's really the only thing that I'm looking at, and then obviously targeting the October low down here. Now I remember back here I was looking at this being the high because we were in premium of this range here and in this order block. But I think going back and looking at the quarterly shift video from ICT, I think that this couldn't have been it because it wasn't at least 20 trading days, so the algorithm didn't switch to a new sell program because it didn't have enough time to build sell side liquidity below the marketplace, which is why this, even though this was a clean break in market structure down, it didn't end up playing out. Where here we're 40 trading days beyond the last market structure shift. So I'm thinking that this is more high probability that this could be the high. But again, in terms of what's going to happen next week, are we going to trade up into this? I don't know. There's not enough data yet. We're still at the weekly opening price. So I'm just going to see what price action does. I don't have a bias coming into next week. And then just to note, another trade I'm looking at is silver. ICT said to look at commodities, and this is the only one that's really like super clear to me, that we took these consolidation lows. We were in fucking years of consolidation here. Equal lows, we took those displacement, and now we had a retracement into the breaker order block fair value gap here in discount, and we had a clear displacement away from it, and now we're in this monthly order block, monthly fair value gap, and also weekly fair value gap, and also a weekly gap here. So this looks super bullish, and I'm seeing that if we could potentially get a retracement down into this order block fair value gap here, I'm going to set a limit here, and potentially a limit all the way down here to see if we get a retracement and continue going higher. But overall, this silver chart looks extremely bullish. So I just wanted to note that. But that's more of a long-term swing trade setup that I'm looking at. So in terms of S&P, we'll see what happens this week. I'm not expecting much at all.